And we're picking it up at Chapter 5, Mountains, Deserts, and Forests. Here we go. Mountains. Why do we have mountains? Because if we didn't, mountain climbing would be really boring. It's almost time for a chapter on natural disasters. I can't wait. Actually, Arlo, one of the ways mountains were created was by moving tectonic plates in the earth that we talked about a little earlier. And when the two plates carrying land masses push against each other, crash, bang, boom, a mountain range is born. For example, the Ural Mountains in Russia mark the spot where Europe and Asia crashed into each other. But the biggest, most dramatic head-on collision of two plates happened in India, crashed into Asia, and created the world's tallest mountain range, the Himalayas. I know the tallest peak in the Himalayas, Mount Everest. It's a whopping 24,035 feet above sea level, and it's still growing. The tectonic plates are still moving, and some scientists say Everest grows as much as 2.4 inches every year. Other scientists say it's just grown about 4 millimeters a year, less than a quarter of an inch. I say those scientists should make up their minds. George Malloy Roy from England was one of the many mountain climbers who wanted to be the first to reach the summit of Mount Everest. When reporters asked him why he wanted to do it, he replied, "Because it's there." That guy was cool. Unfortunately, he never made it. George Malloy died 800 feet from the top of the Mount Everest in 1924. He was just 37. Everest wouldn't be conquered but until another 29 years later by Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay. Mount Everest is the highest mountain, but it's not the tallest mountain. Huh? Some mountains are underwater. The tallest mountain on Earth is Mount Mauna Kea, a volcano in the island of Hawaii. Its base of the Mauna Kea is at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, so the summit only rises 13,796 feet above sea level. But Mauna Kea is 33,000 feet tall. It's much higher than Mount Everest. I wonder if Mount Everest is jealous. Do you know how an underwater mountain gets formed? Some of those tectonic plates carrying the ocean floor move away from each other. Then the hot, bubbling, molten magma under the Earth's crust bubbles and makes huge underwater mountains. You probably don't want to go mountain climbing on an underwater mountain. Falling off a mountain wouldn't be much of a risk, but you might drown. Many mountain climbers make their goal to climb the 7 summits, the highest points on each of the 7 continents. The youngest person to ever climb the 7 summits was Jordan Romero from California. He was just 9 when he reached the top of Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa, and 13 when he climbed Mount Everest. Scientists believe that in millions of years, the mountains we see today will fade away. They'll sink their way out of their own weight, and the rock will be worn away by rain, wind, and snow. If the Earth's crust stops moving and the mountain disappears, it would be sad, especially for snowboarders and skiers. In 2005, scientists discovered a mountain in Mozambique, Africa, that most of the world didn't know existed, Mount Mabu. They didn't go to Africa to find it. They found it on Google Earth. So maybe there are more mountains out there waiting to be discovered. Maybe you will be the first person to discover one. Deserts. 1/3 of the land on Earth is desert, and every one of the 7 continents has at least one of them. Do you know the difference between a desert and dessert? A desert is a place that gets less than 10 inches of rain or snow a year. A dessert is a tasty treat that you'll have at the end of your meal. If I had a choice between being stranded in a desert or stranded in a dessert, I would definitely choose to be stranded in a dessert. At least you get something to eat. The biggest desert in the world is the Sahara in North Africa, right? Wrong! According to the definition of desert, the largest one in the world is in Antarctica. I bet your parents didn't know that. The Sahara is the biggest subtropical desert. It stretches across 11 countries. It is not the sandy desert you're thinking of. It's only 30% sand. The rest is rocky and mountainous. the Arabian Desert on the Arabian Peninsula of the world's largest sand desert. There's another desert on the Arabian Peninsula called the Empty Quarter that is nothing but sand dunes. It's about the size of France. The Gobi Desert in China and the Mongolian and the Patagonian Desert in Argentina are cool winter deserts. In the Gobi, the temperature can get as hot as 113 degrees Fahrenheit during the day and as low as negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit during the night. So if you go there, bring lots of sunscreen and your winter coat. The reason why some deserts get so little rain is because of the rain shadow effect. When a mountain range stops moisture from reaching an area, the land in the mountain's rain shadow. For example, the Himalayan mountains are right next to the Gobi Desert, and they prevent rainfall from reaching it. So on one side of the Himalayas gets up to 600 inches of rain a year, the other side gets less than 10 inches a year. The air is so dry in subtropical deserts that the rain can evaporate before it even reaches the ground. Most animals can't survive in these hot, dry places, but camels, snakes, and scorpions can. None of them need much water, and they're more active at night, which is cooler. Snakes have scaly skins that stop them from drying out so they can go a long time without food. Desert plants have leaves that hold on to moisture. Did you ever hear of Death Valley? It's between the Great Basin and the Mojave Desert in California and Nevada. Death Valley is one of the hottest, driest places on Earth because it's the rain shadow of two mountain ranges, the Pacific Coastal and the Sierra Nevada ranges. Badwater Basin in Death Valley is the lowest point in North America. It's 282 feet below sea level. The hottest temperature ever to be recorded on Earth was in Death Valley's Furnace Creek. On July 10th, 1913, it was 134 degrees Fahrenheit. Ouch. I'll never complain of being heat again. No wonder it's named Death Valley. The average temperature in Death Valley in July is 116 degrees. People actually go there on vacation. Nobody knows why. But Death Valley isn't the driest place on Earth. That honor goes to the Atacama Desert in South America. It gets just 1 millimeter of rain each year. In fact, there are parts of the Atacama where not one drop of rain has been recorded. It is so much like another world that NASA went there to test the Mars rover. Forest and trees. Trees can breathe. They're like the Earth's giant air conditioners because trees take carbon dioxide and other pollutants out of the atmosphere and turn it into oxygen. One tree can absorb almost 50 pounds of carbon dioxide a year. So in its lifetime, a tree would suck up as much CO2 as an average car would produce if it was driven around the world. Trees are old. The world's oldest tree is a bishocone pine tree in the White Mountains of California. It is 5,063 years old. I would tell you exactly where it is, but the locations of the world's tallest and world's oldest trees are kept secret. Otherwise, tourists might damage them looking for souvenirs to bring home. There's a colony of quacking aspen trees in Utah with a root system called a pandu that is 80,000 years old. It's the oldest living organism on the planet. And because these trees are connected by a single massive root system, it's also the world's heaviest known organism at 6,600 tons. They said everything is bigger in Texas, but the boreal forest in Russia covers an area that's more than 17 times the size of Texas. Wow! Paper is made from trees, of course. So is furniture and anything made from wood. In fact, more than 5,000 things are manufactured from trees. Trees are tall. The redwood trees in Northern California can grow to more than 350 feet tall. That's about the average size of a skyscraper. Did you know that aspirin was originally developed from willow bark? Actually, we get lots of good stuff from trees. In fact, more than 25% of the medicines we use come from rainforest plants. Trees are dangerous. The bark of the manchineel tree is covered with sap that can make you go blind if it gets in your eyes. Just standing under it will cause blisters on your skin if the sap drips on you. And if you eat fruit from this tree, you could die. Eek! It's found in the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. Every Chinese citizen over 11 years old has to plant at least 3 trees a year. There's a hotel in Sweden that's called the Tree Hotel that has all rooms up in the trees. Okay, chapter 6 is a little longer, so I'm going to start it. The 50 United States. The United States of America is a weird place to live. Here are 51 reasons why. Alabama, Scratchy Ankle, Smut Eye, and Sugar Hill are all towns in Alabama. Alaska. Alaska is closer to Russia than it is to the rest of the United States. In one place, Russia is only 2.5 miles away. Arizona. The painted desert isn't painted. It's the petrified forest isn't scared. The painted desert was named by the Spanish explorers who marveled at the colors of the landscape, and the petrified forest was named for the large deposits of petrified wood. Arkansas. Arkansas has the only diamond mine in North America. If you find a diamond there, you can keep it. California. California is home to the tallest waterfall in the country, Yosemite Fall, and the lowest, driest, hottest point, Death Valley, and the tallest, biggest, and oldest tree in the world. The world's tallest living tree, Hyperion, is a 379-foot redwood. Colorado. A land formation called the Continental Divide runs through Colorado. All the rivers on one side empty into the Atlantic Ocean, and all the rivers on the other side empty into the Pacific Ocean. Connecticut. 15,000 years ago, Connecticut was covered by a glacier, so it's very young compared to the rest of the world. Oh, and they have a state insect there, the European praying mantis. Delaware. There are parts of Delaware that are only 9 miles wide. Delaware is not the only state without any national parks, seashores, historic sites, battlefields, memorials, or monuments. And by the way, one of the state colors of Delaware is buff. Florida. Florida is the lightning capital of the world. Sea breezes from the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean collide with the warm Florida peninsula. It means that lots of thunderstorms and lightning. Georgia. Marshall Forest in Rome is the only natural forest within the city limits of the United States. Hawaii. Hawaii is in 2 places at once. It's part of the United States, of course, but geographically, it's part of the Polynesian cultural region of Oceania. It's made of 8 big islands and more than 100 small ones. They were formed when the volcanoes grew over the hot spot, a place where magma burst through the tectonic plates. Some Hawaiian volcanoes continue to erupt from time to time. Even every time the Mauna Loa erupts, the big island of Hawaii gets a little bit bigger.